Welcome to SandCity Sports. I am your host, the Cape Cod Kid, artist formerly known as Andre King, and we are back again to bring you all the sports and current events news stories that you need to know. Folks, you can see we have a guest in the building. My cousin, one Mr. Rashawn Jenkins. Welcome.
How we doing?
We're doing well, and we have to note that this is a big moment, a big event, because
yes.
this here is the Sand City.
Yes.
And SandCity Sports.
Yes.
Okay?
Thank you for the invite.
This is the Sand City and SandCity Sports. The man who I got that term from, that we've taken it and run with on this program and in other areas, and so it's a big deal for this program to have him out here, and we look forward to seeing him.
Thank you.
Folks, we're going to jump right into it because there's been some seismic occurrences in sports, and particularly in the world of the NFL, and you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Mr. Andrew Luck deciding to retire without much notice, any notice, this Saturday from the game of football at the age of 29, and really just turn the NFL on its head. Just some quick backgrounds. He's been dealing with injuries for a number of years. Shoulder that had evolved into a calf injury. Wasn't able to practice, wasn't able to get healthy, and so he decided to step away just 10 days before the NFL season.
Shame.
Ray, what are your thoughts, on the outset, with this, from the outset?
Well, Andrew Luck's luck has run out.
Yes.
Right? That's how I'm taking it.
Okay.
To each his own.
Right.
You know when your time is up.
Indeed.
He's put in crazy work, got hurt, took a little break, ate some breakfast, got hurt again.
Indeed he did.
Hurt again.
Yep.
So you just got to know when to fold, you know what I mean? You got to know when to get out before you really end up on a stretcher. So I commend him. Could he have done it earlier? Could he gave his coach and players heads up?
Yes, indeed.
I don't know, but salute you. Thank you for getting out the game, because Tom Brady's going to need it this year. He's going to need as much help as he can get. But as far as who's replacing him? Who's replacing him?
Jacoby.
Jacoby
Brissett. Yep. Former Patriot. So he's no slouch. He's slouch. He's shown that he can produce.
All right. Then in that case, enjoy your winter, Andrew Luck. We will see you again.
True. Just one thing at the same time, the Colts' odds to make the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl went from 16-1 to 50-1.
Ooh.
Yeah. So they went from and last year I believe Andrew Luck threw for 39 touchdowns, maybe 10 interceptions. I think had his best QBR of his career. That's what I've been hearing.
I had him on my fantasy.
Okay.
Fantasy team.
Yes.
He came through when I needed him to come through. So actually, I owe him a little bit of change. So get at me, Andrew, if you hear this or see this. Sorry. Keep it going. Play a lot of summer leagues. Hope to see you on the beach, Cape Cod, Massachusetts.
Yes.
Come check us out.
You can check us out.
All right. Anything else on that?
Oh, we got quite a bit more.
Okay.
Did you have Andrew Luck on your fantasy team going into this season? Because quite a few people did, draft Andrew Luck, and then turn on the TV a couple minutes later, find out he retired, and it's been quite a tidal wave. It's been quite a tsunami. It's been quite an earthquake in many fantasy leagues, mine included. And so did you experience any of that? Was Andrew Luck your starting quarterback going into this year?
No, he wasn't. If he was, there would have been an immediate do-over.
Okay, well, is that allowed? Is that allowed? Well, once you establish your keepers, because we had to deal with it in our league. Once those keepers are established,
right. I don't know if anybody would agree with me, but the do-over definitely would have tried to happen.
It's been kind of tumultuous in some leagues. But you do bring up a good point in terms of Jacoby Brissett. I think he can step in. Obviously he's not Andrew Luck, but they have a backup there. It's not like they're starting from scratch. With a rookie. And then you touched on the timing of it, just 10 days before the season. That's what sticks out the most to me. Now the reports. I mean, we're going to stay on this subject, folks. We're going to talk about this for a bit. We need to discuss this. But the reports are Andrew Luck, as early as March, began contemplating retirement, you know, and you know, he's been going through, as he said, you know, the process, you know, of pain, you know, rehab, you know, recovery. Injury, pain, rehab. I think that you know, injury, pain, rehab, over and over and over. It was affecting him. It was affecting his personal life. One of the things that sticks out where I do, you know, believe he made an outstanding point is the inability to practice. The inability to hone his craft, to refine his craft, to evolve within his craft, so that he could be, you know, the player that he knew. That's something that is key, you know, in this overall circumstance. But again, for me,
we expect them to go 110% all the time.
Indeed, we do.
And if they know that they can't do it, and they bow out, then come on, you just gotta tip your hat to him and thank him for all the yards and the years that he has put in. That's all you can do. I mean, I see a lot of players getting angry, wishing they've gone to another team. The messages, the Twitters going back and forth are crazy. I don't read comments, so I won't comment. But Andrew Luck, what's the right word?
Commend?
Nope, that's not what I'm looking for. I will see you on a better day.
The whole riding off into the sunset.
Put him out?
It hasn't been specified what this calf injury that he had, the most recent calf injury, you know, it started as an ankle, now it's a calf, you know. In terms of that, look, we saw what happened to Kevin Durant. Okay, we saw what happened to him, and he had a calf injury. Okay, that the whole time, as we now know in retrospect, was an Achilles injury. You know, so this is something that's new in terms of how everyone knows the severity of an Achilles injury, regardless of what sport. You know, and the tremendous difficulty that any athlete has. So if you say somebody has an Achilles strain, you know, then that's a DEFCON 4. You know, if we say Achilles, you know, automatically you recognize. But if you say it's a calf, you know, a bruised calf, you know, then a calf is something. You know, we out here playing this men's league basketball. You know, well past the 30s and still doing it. You know, at a high level. Sometimes But the point is, you know, you get a bruised calf. I mean, you sit out for a bit, but you can come back and help your team. You get a bruised or strained Achilles. Okay, you got to sit down for a month or two. You know that. So when they say he has a calf or an ankle injury, and they're not specifying, you know, we're unsure, but it could be something, and maybe something as severe. Now, listen, for me, this is what sticks out for me. You've taken the personal approach, which, you know, and Andrew Luck as a human being, as a person, as a man, you know, family, so on and so forth, and that narrative is relevant, you know, and it's right up there at the top level. Okay. Professionally, me looking at Andrew Luck, this has to be noted, okay? In terms of all his shoulder injuries, okay, I got to say, who told Andrew Luck to fly down that mountain on that snowboard, okay, and take a header into the woods, okay? A part of his shoulder is self-inflicted. So that's we need to note that as well. You know, as we're looking at this, you know, he's talking about pain, rehab, you know, or
so are you blaming him?
I'm saying I am. I'm saying some of the liability, you know, for these injuries that caused him to retire at the age of 29. Now, will he come back? Will he not? We will get there. Falls on the head of Andrew Luck himself, and that I haven't seen that narrative in terms of all of the reporting. Now, obviously, the lightning rod word we're hearing is courageous, and Andrew Luck is courageous for stepping away and stepping back. Now, look, that goes to what you're saying. I'm interested in your point on this. The courage that I see in terms of Andrew Luck is recognizing the significance, the importance, of mental health. And him highlight, you know, a lot of times, you know, maybe it's a masculine thing, or maybe it's an American, whatever the case may be, you know, mental health is supremely important in our daily lives, and it just is.
Nothing better. Nothing better than a good peace of mind. We all look for that.
So, and a lot of times that gets swept under the rug for the huge rewards, you know, or the pressures that we have. But again, he's at the NFL. You know, this is the most popular sport, you know, in the most profitable nation, you know, in the world. You know, so the stakes are so high. You know, a lot of times, we'll get to that later. You know, just come out there and, you know, play this game, you know, a couple more snaps. We can, you know, because again, if we can win the Super Bowl, we put all of our eggs in those baskets, you know, and the self-care. you know, and the peace of mind that you know, and that's how you see. That's the reason why as many as 78 to 80% of NFL players or 60% of NBA players are broke 5 years after retirement. And for the NFL, it might be much less because they're burning the candle on both ends. Okay, so for Andrew Luck to talk about the mental health and to highlight that, in that sport, you know, the most gladiator of the sports, he deserves, you know, that's courageous and commendable. But again, you know, when you're talking about these problems that you're having, you know, and how it's affecting so on and forth, we didn't get much at the press conference in terms of how he's contributed to those problems. Okay, you know, you're the franchise quarterback. You're making these, $100 million. You know, and you take these risks in your own personal time, which hurt you making the, you know, and the franchise and the team, so on and forth. That is.
Are they allowed to have a life outside of football, though?
Of course, you know,
Can they enjoy themselves?
Yeah, that nobody.
Do they always have to think about football?
No, you have a right to go, you know, Tom Brady in the off season, you know, him and Giselle are on the beach every other day.
Yeah, right.
Okay? And if he's not on the beach, he's filming a Time vs. Time episode. You know, with his kid out there teaching his kid the ways and, you know, doing cartwheels in the yard, you know, and
he's getting paid millions of dollars.
Selling his house for $30-40 million. Of course, he has the right to have a life.
Right.
But when that life, when those the choice that you make now affect your professional existence and your professional responsibilities, then it's much different. So when players go out and get in trouble off the court or off the field, you know, and when players put themselves in risky situations that they don't need to be in, and then get injured, which affects them on the field, we look at that, you know, we're not as necessarily forgiving in those instances because you should have known better. You know, again, we all deal with this, you know, we you know, hardworking people, you know, you're a hardworking guy. That's why you can't always be on the show because you're putting the hours in, 40, 50, 60 hours, you know, and then you have your free time. But again, if you were to, you know, if it's one thing where you have the flu or you have a cold, you tell your boss, or you have pneumonia, I can't come in. You know, but boss, you know, I was out skateboarding the other night, you know, and I flew off the sidewalk, you know, took a few tumbles, you know, I got a high ankle sprain, I can't come into work, you know. I don't think the boss can be as receptive to that story.
No, I see your point.
You know, in terms of so with Andrew Luck, that's something for me. You know, he's talking. You know, but you know, you yourself, and I'm gonna kick it back to you. The other part that's interesting and deserves some clarification. You know, Andrew Luck is due $24 million, I believe, was his salary for the year. There was $12 million, which was a signing bonus. You know, or which, you know, was incentive. So I'm not sure to speak specific language, but the Colts are allowing him to keep that. They're allowing him to keep that $12 million that just went into effect, so to speak, you know, recently, or it might have been in, but they're not kicking up any dust about Andrew Luck getting all of his money for this year. What are your thoughts on that?
I think they realize what he meant to their organization and what he put in, the time and him playing through injuries, maybe causing more injuries.
Just got to do, we keep going, keep it going.
Just kind of like Durant, you know. You get in the game when you're hobbling and you're putting in work and you're getting hit by 300-pounders.
Yes.
Come on, thank you, Andrew Luck. You know what? I know you're going to leave us, but here, you deserve this. That's how I look at it. That's how I would want my organization to take care of me when I put in all that work. When I played the most prolific position out, there was no hiding from me. I had to show up every day. I took them. When we lost, I took it. When we won, I took it. You know, it's a lot. It's a lot. And I think he deserves every penny he gets, even if he's not playing.
All right.
That's how I see it.
Yeah, that's his money. He deserves his money.
He definitely deserves it. And you see the players talk about him. I mean, they love him. They love him. They love him. So, Andrew Luck, best of luck.
Who was his wide receiver just dedicated the season to him? I think it was T.Y. Hilton.
Oh, yes.
You know, came out and said, you know, this is my guy. I'm dedicated. You know, just in terms of, you know, this is a beloved guy, you know, a respected guy, as you know, somebody who was a good teammate, a great teammate, did all that he could. In terms of the Colts not kicking up dust about, you know, his salary, it's twofold for me. First of all, in terms of Andrew Luck's injuries, there was a good chance that at least one, if not more, of these injuries was misdiagnosed.
Okay.
The training staff either misdiagnosed the injury or did not do a great job in terms of helping him to rehab. And so that was one of the narratives I thought was interesting in terms of why they're not demanding this money that there's going to be no labor power.
So
You're putting forth, they feel a bit of liability. Feel a little bit of liability, and so that's the reason they're taking this hands-off approach in terms of the salary that's committed to labor power that's not going to be there.
Right.
They're saying, well, there might be some culpability on our part, just like we talked about Andrew Luck and his responsibility, for things that he did that impacted his career in a negative fashion. That's something in terms of the Colts, and I think that holds true. The other component for me is that the Colts want to hold out some hope, hold out the possibility, because Andrew Luck's only 29.
Yes. Yep.
He's only 29, and to your point about peace of mind, if he takes this year off, what other players have called a redshirt year, particularly Marcellus Wiley, speaking for yourself, and he's noted this, looking back on his career, saying, I wish I would have taken that year to get myself back mentally and physically 100% healthy and then go back. And that could have extended my career 4 or 5 years instead of doing what Andrew Luck said he doesn't want to do, continually just battling when I know I'm not healthy, trying to climb up that mountain and just almost it being like a Sisyphus situation.
A lot of players wish they had that luxury to do that, but it's a win now, right now type of league, and if you can get out there, get out there. Yeah. That's what they want, and sometimes it ends up like this,
And with Andrew Luck, he has $100 million in the bank.
100 million?
At least.
100 million?
Never mind endorsement money. Okay, so that's just a set. So in terms of him walking off into this, that other players don't necessarily have that license.
100 million?
100 million. At least we didn't talk about endorsement money.
Okay, all right,
because he's on every bus, on every banner in Indianapolis. So that's just he's got plenty of money in the bank. Never mind the fact that his dad is the new commissioner of the XFL.
100 million?
Yeah. You keep going back to 100 million. That's
real chicken.
Yeah.
That's not Popeyes. That's
minimum.
Real
$100.
Chicken.
That's minimum.
Real chicken. Right
and so that kind of allowed, whereas, and we'll make a quick segue over here, because what's going on with Mr. Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott doesn't have $100 million, in the bank. And Ezekiel Elliott was probably, he's ranked number 16 NFL top 100. Was probably ranked higher than Andrew Luck. Okay.
What is wrong with that boy? What is wrong
he's
with
not in camp. I don't know if he's on your fantasy team as well. He's not in camp, and he might not be in camp because he can't get his money. But that, again, is why I disagree with this whole courageous. I mean, that's a drastic overstatement. I'm not going to go into this long diatribe against that storyline. I'm not going to do that. But the point is, because Andrew Luck is a quarterback and that position is valued in the way that it is, and you have average quarterbacks or maybe even bad quarterbacks making $20 million a year, he has the war chest to be able to step back and make this decision, whereas the majority of football players, and I think Ezekiel Elliott is at the head of this line, these running backs, you can be the best player on your team. You can be one of the best players in the game. Ezekiel Elliott's making, I think, $6 million a year this year. Okay? $6 million a year. Whereas Dak Prescott, who didn't even make the top 100, voted on by NFL people, as we talked about, turned down $30 million.
Did Zeke do it to himself, though?
Okay, tell me.
Did he do it to himself?
Did Zeke? Did he do it to himself?
Does he stay out of trouble, or does he get in trouble when he should be out of trouble?
He seemed to be finding the trouble. He seemed to be finding it.
He likes getting in fights with bouncers.
That's after he's been in trouble. Yeah.
He likes to show out. He likes to stay out past curfew. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I heard.
Okay.
I don't know. A lot of buzz is that he's doing it to himself. Is he gonna be around for this season? I could never put him on my fantasy team. I can't.
You can't have it, even though led the league in rushing.
I can't do it. I feel like he's on a collision course with getting kicked out again. I don't know. There's just something about him. I think he's not all there.
Not all there. All right.
It could just because I don't really like Dallas.
True. You got to pay. You feel like you can say that.
Can I say that?
You can feel like, we're America's team.
All right.
You know?
All right. I just want to thank you again for having me here.
No.
Am I overdressed in here?
Not at all. Not at all. You come in here look ready to go, and
all right,
not at all. But back to Zeke.
Go ahead.
You bring up these points. The man does. He does act out on a consistent basis.
Right.
He does act out on a consistent basis. Though for me, I feel that he's improved. Okay, and the bottom line is the bottom line. Okay, this is a top 20 guy in the league.
Right.
And he can't get his money because he plays a position that's been undervalued.
Right.
Therefore, this whole narrative about injuries, about mental health, about quality of life doesn't apply to Ezekiel Elliott and the majority of other players in the NFL.
Right.
Okay, because they haven't recouped, enough of that huge, 20. I think the NFL, I think it's 16, 17 billion dollars, 18 billion dollars. It's on track for a $25 billion valuation going forward. Okay, but all of this money that's raining down, Andrew Luck, my point is, happens to be in a very unique position, okay, where he's able to, it's like a kid on Halloween. You know what I mean? He's able to gobble up that big bag of candy, Whereas the other young, whoever, they can't, they can get a Reese's peanut butter, cup here. They can get a Tootsie Roll over there. You know what I'm saying? But, Andrew Luck looks like he raided BJ's.
Right.
It looked like he went to Walmart.
He walked to more houses, though. He walked to more houses. He knocked. He wasn't greedy.
Okay, all right. But I don't know.
He held his parents' hand.
All right, he did something.
He wasn't running across the street. That matters. The way you conduct yourself matters.
Okay.
It matters. Listen to me, folks. It matters how you conduct yourself. It goes a long way. You just can't be out there I understand it's a brutal sport.
Yep.
Once you're out there, go ahead. Head-to-head, helmets, whatever. We're trying to clean up the game, but that's what it is. Outside of the game, you gotta conduct yourself the right way, and you will get compensated for it. Look at the players. Look at Tom Brady. Look at Andrew Luck. Look at who else is out there. Look at Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. Aaron Rodgers.
You've named 3 quarterbacks, by the way.
Am I?
You named 3 quarterbacks.
See? Running backs don't really matter anymore.
Yeah,
right. You know whose fault that is? Patriots. They proved that you don't really need a big name running back. As long as you have the culture and the right schemes. And I think that diminished the running back in the NFL. Not saying that Zeke isn't diminished. He's going to be a powerhouse. But the NFL has an attitude as if my little brother can run. My little brother can be a running back. As long as you block for him and we got the right plays, anybody can be a running back. Now, I understand that's not true, but it is a good point. Carry on.
Yeah, again, I don't buy the whole devaluing. We've touched on that. Running back is very important. The ability to move the football on the ground is very important.
It is important.
And this concept, that we're looking at right now, my man Skip Bayless is over there. Tony Pollard had 26 yards on 6 carries. Dallas Cowboys had a good preseason game. He's talking about the Super Bowl.
Right.
If anybody, I'm not a football guy, I'm a basketball guy, okay? But when I see easy money, let me dive on in.
Right.
If anybody thinks the Dallas Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl A with Tony Pollard as a running back, or even making the playoffs B, getting the first,
maybe.
we can,
Maybe.
I don't see it happening. Big bet for me is $20. Okay, so that'd be the bet on those things. I think it's foolhardy to think that, the Walter Paytons of the world, the Jim Browns of the world, okay, the Barry Sanders of the world, the Emmitt Smiths of the world, are a dime a dozen just because we've gone to this pass happy league.
The league is going that way. They're changing the rules to make it a pass happy league.
You need to be able to run the football, and those folks that can do that at a high level are superstars, just like a quarterback is a superstar, a linebacker is a superstar, a head coach is a superstar, and I think that we're missing out on that. Okay, looking at this idea of superstardom, we're here in New England, and we had a superstar tight end. We had a superstar tight end who also retired at a young age. You know, he had an interesting press conference today, talking about Rob Gronkowski, of course.
Gronky talk.
Okay, Mr. Gronkowski let the Patriots know he was stepping away. It wasn't 10 days before the season. Okay,
right.
we'll note that again. Sorry, I had a little jab back in the injury luck. It was, however, after the Patriots could have signed some tight ends that were in the market, you know, and so he gets a little slack for that. I don't buy that narrative. I don't. You might have heard. You know, I forget who it might have been. I think it wasn't Ebron. I think it was a tight end for the Raiders. We'll get that name up for you. Who was considering coming to the Patriots and didn't because Gronkowski didn't give the Patriots a final answer. Listen, if Bill Belichick wanted to go after this tight end or any other player, he could have done so.
Right.
Rob Gronkowski.
Could he come back? Could he come back this year?
Now, that is the question of the day, of the hour, that he addressed specifically in today's press conference. So, first of all, the answer in the short term, immediate term, is hell no. Hell no. He's not coming back. You know, he doesn't feel the need, you know, in the next week, month, or a couple months to come back to football. But Rob Gronkowski, he left the door wide open to come back to football after he has had time for this new venture that he is putting himself into, which is CBD Medic. CBD, this is a cannabis, they do cannabis gummies, I believe is what they're known for. Rob Gronkowski is the new poster child, is the new face of CBD Medic, as we learned at today's press conference, and he credits this company. And these, again, I know they have gummies. You know, they have gummies if you go to a convenience store, and you know, because I got a little sweet tooth. Right.
You know, we all do.
A little history. This is my older cousin here.
We all do.
This is my older cousin here. So 2 years older than me. So when we was coming up through the middle school and the high school years, you know, he was schooling me. He allowed me to kind of tag along.
Yes.
You know, and
this
so
is true.
And so on to tag along. What I did, you know, annoy him, antagonize him. Also, cousin Josh. You know,
Yes, indeed.
You know, I think I antagonize Josh more. But my point is, so when we would go to the convenience store, you know, your boy would get those 2 Hostess cupcakes. I get them orange Hostess. That was my, you know what I'm saying? Very healthy and a Snapple. I was eating very healthy at a young age. You know, and now, you know, then we go back and play a little bit more mad, and that's what it would be.
Right.
Okay? What this has to do with Rob Gronkowski is, so now when you're going to the convenience store, you know, and you go and you got the little snacks up there, what you see is these CBD gummies.
Right.
You know, you got to be 21, so we're not, you know, but you got to be a certain age, but you can get a couple gummies.
Gummies.
You know,
and you got a little shoulder problem,
you
it'll hit that. You got the carpal tunnel.
Exactly. You do the gum.
Smart guy.
And the point is, you know, Rob Gronkowski has said, you know, that he was only able to sleep 20 minutes at a time during his playing days.
See?
You know, his mental health, his ability to connect with friends and family was affected in a major way, was breaking down, okay? And along with stepping away, you know, getting that, you know, the time away from the game, he credits, you know, these gummies with helping him to be, and this is what he said today, pain-free.
Right. It's helped me.
You know, you talk to these football players, and I'm gonna kick it over to you in a second, but you talk to these football players, they tell you these war stories of what goes on post-game. Now, during the game, you know, we go to Gillette Stadium, you know, the Patriots, you know, they get the win, you know, and we're celebrating, and it's a great time. It's a great time. You know, I love, you know, the game of football and what it brings, particularly during that season, the fall and the winter season, how it brings people together, so on and forth. But you're talking to football players, and they say, listen, you know, I got to be chauffeured home from the stadium.
Right.
I can barely walk from the car to get into my house.
Right.
I can't play with my kids.
Right.
I can't talk to my wife.
Right. Preach.
Okay?
Preach.
The next day, I cannot get out of bed. Can't practice at all that week, and then I get out there and do it again the next week. This is the life that Rob Gronkowski was living, okay? The brass tacks, you know, hard scrabble life that he was living. And he said this CBD oil, which is not allowed in the NFL right now. The International Federation, the Olympics, he says, allow the CBD, you know, products and oil, so on and forth, but the NFL's not allowing it. So that's kind of a part of his crusade. But then also to speak about, you know, how this has helped him. How he says he's pain free. He says he's in a much better place mentally. Okay, I'm kicking over you. I'm kicking off. And he hasn't ruled out returning to the game.
Okay.
Hasn't ruled it out, but he doesn't see it happening for at least a year, if not 2 or 3 years. What are your thoughts on this Rob Gronkowski news today?
My thoughts is, good for you, Gronk. Good for you. Natural, all natural. That's what I'm all about. These guys break their bones, twist their ankle. I mean, they do all kind of things to their body. And anybody that is strong enough, brave enough to go all natural, even when the law kind of looks down at you, I commend you. You look around, we have a big opiate problem here.
Indeed.
All across leagues, all across the world, all across all divisions. Everybody's stepping away from the opiates and they're looking into natural things like CBD, THC. I don't know the league. Can you smoke in the league? Can you smoke weed?
I believe the marijuana requirements.
A touchy subject.
It's touchy, but I think they've been reduced.
Okay,
I think they've been reduced. So if a player does, in terms of if a player does get suspended, it's generally not for marijuana exclusively.
Times are changing. High times, pun intended.
Right. Good movie as well. Yep.
Times are changing. And we need to change with them and find the best alternatives that can help everybody. And I commend Gronky Tom. I commend you out there doing your thing. I will be a consumer. CBD, I give it 2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs, okay. We get 2 thumbs. Yep. 2 thumbs.
It's not because I'm a Patriots fan.
Yeah.
I commend anybody that's doing their thing, the right thing. And again, I want to say Gronk got out of the league right on time because he was headed for a bad injury, I think, because he's just so big and the players have no alternative to just go at his knees. And he's enjoying his life. He's making the best out of it. When you come back, or if you come back, we will welcome you. If you don't, we still salute you. All right, Gronky Tom? There it is. Right.
Yes. Okay. Another guy rides off into the sunset.
Right.
With your approval.
Right.
And on this topic, I do feel a similar way because of the way that he's handled it. That he did give the team. This is something that we thought was coming. That he was out front. And so he's has stepped away from the game. And you bring up a point a number of good points. First of all, it's kind of interesting, and it just needs to be noted in terms of this entire debate. In terms of CBD oil, that's something that I've seen have a tremendous effect because, my dog had arthritis. Go in, dog has tremendous arthritis, and I thought, my man Carlton, was at the end of the road, could barely walk. We take them in, they prescribe the medication, which sometimes, the medication that they take, sometimes that affects the other vital systems of the animal. So they're kind of, but next, so I brought him, he still had the issues. I bring him in again, they said, well, these biscuits, these CBD biscuits that we've been, and it's kind of,
CBD biscuits
CBD
for dogs?
Biscuits for dogs, Shout out, my man Carl's been basically pain free for 2-3 years. He's been out there protecting the neighborhood, running wild, with the CBD biscuits. You know what I'm saying? So, it is what it is. It's been decriminalized,
Okay.
So we can, sometimes, you got to, do a little bit of the ooh-ooh. The ooh, it is what it is. But, just in terms of, I've seen the useful application in my own, my dog, I love my dog, right there. And so, in terms of Gronkowski partnering and increasing the information and the knowledge surrounding, the benefits, I am all for it. It has to be noted, though, as we've looked at, the work of Miss Ava DuVernay in terms of what she's done with When They See Us and what they've done with and what she's done with 13th. We do need to look back, for many years and many decades, this same thing that we're talking about, the use of a natural substance, marijuana, okay, for self-care, okay, was criminalized, okay, and we had poor people and we had people of color, overwhelmingly punished, locked away, name tarnished, record blemished. For what today, Rob Gronkowski on national television with a big smile and a cool shirt, is advocating for, in this cultural shift from retribution to rehabilitation, that I think is an outstanding thing, and is long overdue. We need to remember, okay, that this is not something new. In terms of, I look at the way that the lottery functions now.
Right.
In terms of Powerball.
Exactly.
And the tax money that's generated from that, and how that benefits, governments and businesses.
Right.
But when it was Bumpy Johnson.
Right, exactly.
When it was Bumpy Johnson, in Hoodlum.
Right.
In Hustler.
The government took the numbers game.
Yeah,
from the mobsters.
We had to get rid of, and so I think that's something that I when you're right, you're right. And I think Rob Gronkowski's right. I think we're on the right track. Okay, but there's a lot of people that suffered in years past for being on the right track. Okay, and they also need to be noticed and recognized and remembered. Okay, we got a football guy with us on the program today, so we're not going to let that go lightly.
Okay.
We got a fantasy football guru.
Yes, indeed.
I'm saying that. Okay, I'm coming from the basketball tradition. When it comes to fantasy basketball, I feel like a guru.
First place in fantasy last year.
The people in my league might not think I'm a guru, but I feel that way in terms of basketball. But in terms of football, this man definitely puts the time in. In terms of multiple leagues, I was over, talking to some people at the barbershop, and they were talking about the league over there, talking about the Bobby Burns league, what you get down. Shout out to Bobby Burns here on the Cape, great league. So we gotta ask what your thoughts are. Touched on this a little bit. I believe it's the Chiefs are the number one, have the number one odds. Then it's the Patriots, and I believe it's the Saints. Rams, Eagles, these are the top. Bears, the Colts were in the top 5 or 6, but now obviously they slid back. What are your thoughts on those predictions, and how do you see the NFL kind of panning out this year?
I think the predictions, how they have it, are pretty accurate, and I think there's going to be some surprises. Everybody's got their eyes on Cleveland.
Yes.
They look like, on paper, they look like they're going to be a show, but we'll see about that. Everybody thinks that the Patriots are going to have a downslide, but I don't know how that can happen in the division that they're in.
True, AFC least.
Yeah. What really surprised me was the rankings of, the last teams. The worst team is, I don't know if you know, the worst team is Miami.
Ooh. And there's a new sheriff down. There's a new sheriff in Miami.
And the one before them is the Cardinals. These are, I thought, all right teams. They could do some damage. They got some good players. Another team I got my eye on is the Raiders.
Yes.
Antonio Brown, that is one of my favorite players of all time. Okay. We'll see if he pans out there. But I'm Vegas always has it right. I've learned the hard way not to go against Vegas. So
you gonna learn.
So I'm gonna use them in my Bobby Burns pool. I'm excited for the season. I love football. I'm a basketball guy, but I love football. And I can't wait for the season to start. I'm ready.
Yes.
I'm ready.
Football is not, necessarily my bailiwick, but I do appreciate it, particularly when it comes in, at the end of the summer to kind of boost us up going into that fall and that winter season. You brought up some great points that I want to just kind of, again, interject and, kind of maybe you expand on them. You talked about Miami.
Yes.
Interesting, Miami. I support their coach. I like their coach, Patriots guy, Flores.
Yep.
His leadership in terms of, how he's addressing his players, how he's bringing a new culture there, a blue-collar work ethic there. He was out in Houston today recruiting Jadeveon Clowney, to saddle up, to come to Miami. But they got a new coach who I believe in, and they also have a very talented young quarterback.
Yes.
With a lot to prove.
Yes.
Who is looking for redemption and who has all of the capabilities and just needs to to put them in the right direction. You bring up a great point. I see that as a combination that can and maybe should should work.
Hunger goes a long way. When you're hungry, it'll push your whole team. And I was surprised that they were that low. But yeah, I'm excited for them.
Indeed. Also, Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray he's progressed throughout the preseason. He's showing signs. He's gotten better. Had that go around with the Raiders where John Gruden, felt the need to blitz, and go all out in the second preseason game, which was just absolutely unorthodox, frankly. But his third preseason game, as I understand it, he did much better. And this is a kid, for me, I'm interested. I look at Kyler Murray and I see Russell Wilson with athleticism.
Oh, absolutely.
I see nothing. Russell Wilson's definitely an athlete, but Kyler Murray, in terms of his quickness, his release, you see a younger Russell Wilson in him, and so I think this kid is the goods flat out. The reason that they are in the basement, in my view, is that their offensive line is absolute chips.
Okay.
They have maybe the worst, if not one of the worst offensive lines in football, and they need to beef up their skill position players as well. Larry Fitzgerald is maybe the only person that kind of comes to mind. And then, the defense, I have a number of key defensive guys out. Patterson might return, might not return. I think the defense is, they have a stalwart defense, but there's certain guys that need to plug in.
Okay.
But the number one thing with the Cardinals is you have this, you're probably taller than Kyler Murray.
Right.
He's not a very big guy. Obviously he's cut, but he's not a big guy, and he's playing behind this offensive line that's extremely porous. And then with the Cardinals, the other thing is, this has been, verified through the grapevine. A lot of NFL coaches, current and former, are not happy that Cliff Kingsbury got this job. Coming from college and not having paid his dues, not being necessarily very successful in college. But again, with the NFL and what they're going towards in terms of offense, and these offensive these young offensive gurus getting those top spots, to build up, these high-powered machines, and so. For me, I don't think the Cardinals, even though they're not going to get any off weeks, even though they're bad teams. And teams like John Gruden might be looking to stick it to them. Right. To make a point, which it is what it is. You kind of iron sharpens iron. You kind of go through that fire, to build yourself up. And I see definitely Kyler Murray, coming out on the other side and being a superstar in this league, a very good player in this league.
You got to protect him.
But this year, it's going to be difficult. Now, one thing about Kyler Murray, and we go all the way back to Andrew Luck. What has been apparent from the beginning with him, and this is one of the things with Andrew Luck. Listen, again, great guy, smart guy, just somebody that sometimes you meet people, these celebrities, you meet them in person, and they're not cool dudes. That they're just not. You wouldn't want them around you, your family, your significant other. You just, but they're these celebrities, so they can live that way and still be, still live in luxury. Andrew Luck is the polar opposite. Okay, so I tip my hat. If he was to walk, didn't know who he was, be respectful, be approachable, so on and forth. But the burden on his back was, as it's been noticed, that he was the next John Elway. In terms of how he rated in the rankings, so on and forth. And so he kind of took that on his back. And the point is, not only when people say he held the ball for too long of a time, this is the point that Skip Bayless brought up. So he was top 3 in turnovers over the course of his career because he's holding the ball so long. But along with that, when this man left the pocket, he wasn't running out of bounds.
Right.
Okay, he was lowering that shoulder. Okay, and trying to play, that physical, and so he's taking backyard. That and the man is 6'5", 245.
Right.
He's not a small dude. For all of the humility and the intelligence, on and on and on, he's not a small man. So when he gets to running and he sees some of these DBs, these linebackers, so we gonna thug it out.
He's playing ball.
We thugging it out. We're not hitting that sideline. But over the course of his career,
it's gonna catch up.
We see the wear and tear. Whereas Kyler Murray, we've already seen in the preseason, he ain't taking no shots.
Right.
He ain't taking one for the team. They're gonna be, and again, he's a smaller guy, but he's still cutting. But the same thing is true of Russell Wilson in terms of sliding, in terms of getting out of bounds. Russell Wilson, what they noted, he always puts the ball in front of him, to get that extra 2-3 yards, and then I'm out of bounds. Richard Sherman and the Legion of Boom, they had issues. You can call me out my name, okay? But Russell Wilson going in his 30s is completely healthy and ready for another 10 years to get that money.
Right.
Okay, he got that big deal. He's looking to get another big deal.
Gotta be smart.
Tom Brady's playing the 45. These current rules, it's 2-hand touch for quarterbacks. You can't touch me.
Right.
If you hit me, you can't land on me. Okay? What am I going to do? How many golf rounds can I play? How many beaches can I go to? This is what flames the fire. This is what gets the juices going. I want to be out here, and if you play the quarterback and you play it the right way, you can play as long as you want to.
Wait till you're 60.
Gordie Howe playing hockey till he's 50.
Come on.
That's not outside the realm. I'm serious. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And playing the NFL till you're 50, I know what yeah, fine.
60.
But if you're a quarterback and they can't touch you or you can just, dink and dack or fall down, and, then you can extend your career. And with Kyler Murray, early on, I see he has that understanding, and so he's going to be very smart, and he's not going to take those shots, like Russell Wilson. If you give him time, he's going to connect.
Right.
He's going to come through for you. And so that's a good point. Arizona, they'll be one of these teams that, don't sleep on them because, again, if you need those wins, i.e. the Pittsburgh Steelers last year, late in the season, you got to get those late season wins, and they lose games they shouldn't lose because they sleep on teams. Arizona will be a kind of a team like that. Okay, so you talked about the teams that were kind of surprised you, Ray. Who, if anybody, is going to challenge the Patriots? What do you see for New England? Who's going to challenge them?
Who's going to challenge them? Of course, Kansas City. Of course, they're going to be there. Who else is going to be there? You know what? Philly. Is Philly going to be there? Is Philly?
You touched on something there. Because if Carson Wentz can stay healthy, this is a guy that was an MVP candidate before he got injured.
Right.
And then they talk about he hasn't fully grasped Peterson's system.
They got some players.
They got some weapons, and they got Carson who has, he could take a quantum leap maybe into the conversation with Mahomes, in my view, because people say, listen, the reason that Nick Foles was able to lead them to the Super Bowl championship and then have them in a very competitive game with the Saints last year on the road is because he stayed within the system and didn't try to go, he let this kind of, or Tom Brady, and whereas Carson Wentz was going for things that he didn't need to go for, which caused him to A, take shots, and B, not be as efficient. And so if he can come back and really trust the process, like Mr. Mahomeboy, Mr. Mahomeboy, he did that red shirt year with Andy Reid to learn the ways. He was with his sensei for a year, learning the ways. So he waited for his time, and then they cut that boy loose. In his first year, he took that MVP trophy home. Those 50 touchdowns, shout out to my man Cahill in my fantasy league. After the first game, he scooped that man up. I was just reading the highlights. I said, who's Patrick Mahomes? I looked at the fantasy waiver wire. That boy was gone. That was the boy, and he had Aaron Rodgers at the time. He had Aaron Rodgers at the time, and he scooped that man up first week. So he knew. Okay? And so with the Philly, you bring up a great point. And then the reporting is, they might get your boy Clowney. That's where he wants to go. He said, I want to be in Philly. I want to be in that city of brotherly love when they're real serious about the sports and particularly football in Philly. That's why they had to have a courthouse and a holding cell in the stadium.
And
they get wild for the football.
I feel like it's going to be his year too, Clowney. He's a bad boy. He's a bad boy.
And I think it would be great for him a change of scenery. Change of scenery, a Philly, that culture, they would love him. His, coming in there and with everything to prove. Shout out to Barnstable Red Raiders going into their season, starting off.
Yes, sir.
Looking forward to that, but I agree. It would be monstrous. Well, folks, that's gonna do it. Go ahead and comment, like, and subscribe as you feel the need. I am your host, the Cape Cod Kid, artist formerly known as Andre King. We are thrilled. We are ecstatic. We are so pleased to have my cousin.
Thank you, sir.
Whispers.
Thank you, sir.
Ray Jenkins, the man. This is SandCity right here, where I got the name from. We got to give him credit.
Thank you.
Here with us. Look forward to seeing him.
Little nervous for the first time.
It's okay. First show, we got it done.
Can you have me back?
You're welcome back every episode. As much as you can be back, you're welcome to come back. Okay, and the people know that we will see you here again the next time. Yes, piece of soap.
souls do sedate ourselves. Just a number's pain we feel. Yes, at times we do hate ourselves, but each day we try to retake ourselves. So yes, we peace of souls do sedate ourselves. Just a number's pain we feel. Yes, at times we do hate ourselves, but each day we try to embrace ourselves. Yeah.